Avoidance secret fears. When you go no contact. No contact is often seen as a power move, a way to reclaim your dignity, protect your peace, or finally let go of someone who kept you emotionally starving. But when you're dealing with an avoidantly attached person, going no contact isn't just about silence. It's a mirror that reflects back the very thing they've been running from their entire lives: emotional abandonment. The person who was once always available, always reaching out, always chasing, suddenly disappears. And that hits a part of them they never talk about. A part of them they often pretend doesn't exist. In this video, we're going to explore the secret fears avoidance experience when you finally go no contact. Fears they don't show, but absolutely feel. Let's begin with fear number 1, the fear of losing control. Avoidance may seem indifferent, cold, or even arrogant when things go wrong in a relationship. But beneath the emotional distance is often a deep need to stay in control, not of you, but of their own emotional exposure. They control through avoidance. By deciding when to engage and when to withdraw, they avoid emotional overwhelm. But when you go no contact, you take that control away. Suddenly, it's not them who's creating the distance, it's you. And that flips their internal world upside down. They don't get to decide if you're available anymore. That's a terrifying realization, because what was once predictable is now uncertain. And avoidance fear uncertainty almost as much as they fear vulnerability. Fear number 2, the fear that you've moved on for good. One of the biggest myths about avoidant people is that they don't care, but the truth is more complicated. They often care deeply, but expressing that care feels unsafe. They push away not because you don't matter, but because the closeness you bring threatens their emotional defenses. Still, they secretly expect you to always be there, waiting. When you go no contact, a different story starts playing in their mind. What if you've truly moved on? What if someone else is giving you the safety and warmth they couldn't? What if you've finally seen their patterns clearly and won't come back? That fear of being replaced triggers a deep inner panic. They may not show it. They may even post photos or act indifferent. But inside, they're running mental loops of doubt and insecurity. Fear number 3, the fear of being the bad guy. Avoidants typically struggle with shame, especially relational shame. The belief that something about them is fundamentally unworthy of love. When you go no contact, they're suddenly left with silence and their own thoughts. And in that silence, their mind often turns inward. They begin replaying the last things you said, the way you looked when you walked away, the messages you left unread, the little signs of your emotional withdrawal. Even if they won't admit it, many avoidants start to feel guilt creeping in. They wonder, did I really push them too far? Did I mess this up beyond repair? Am I the one who sabotaged something real again? They fear that you finally saw them for who they are and decided they weren't worth staying for. Fear number 4, the fear of emotional consequence. One reason avoidants detach during conflict is that they've learned, often in childhood, that emotions equal danger. Anger, sadness, confrontation. They associate these with chaos, rejection, or punishment, so they check out. But when you go no contact, it's no longer just an argument. It becomes a consequence, a full-blown emotional consequence, one they didn't expect. And that forces them to reflect in a way they rarely allow themselves to. They fear that the emotional shutdown they used to protect themselves has now caused permanent damage. The very silence they used as a shield has now become the wall they can't break through. Fear number 5, the fear that you've grown stronger without them. This one cuts deep. Most avoidants subconsciously expect you to be the emotionally weaker one, the one who tries harder, cares more, forgives faster. But no contact shatters that illusion. Suddenly, you're not begging. You're not over-explaining. You're not sending emotional essays. You're silent. And that silence is powerful. It sends a message they don't want to receive. You're healing. You're growing. You're finding yourself again. And maybe, just maybe, you've realized that love shouldn't feel like constant emotional hunger. That realization scares them. Because if you no longer need their breadcrumbs, what role do they play in your life? Who are they, if not the person you long for? Fear number 6, the fear of being forgotten. Avoidants may act like they're unaffected, But the idea that someone they once shared deep intimacy with could forget them is deeply unsettling. They live in a world where emotional safety is rare. So even if they keep people at arm's length, the ones who make it past that wall, those people matter. And when you disappear without a word, it starts to haunt them. Every photo, every song, every old message becomes a ghost of a connection they never fully appreciated. The silence grows louder, and with it, the terrifying thought, what if I'm fading from their memory? That fear, though hidden, can shake them more than any confrontation ever did. Fear number 7, the fear that you're actually happier now. This one is hard for them to digest. Your happiness without them feels like rejection. Not the obvious, loud kind, but the quiet, devastating kind that says, I've seen who you are, and I'm okay without you. That's the ultimate fear for someone who's avoided deep intimacy. Because deep down, many avoidants want to be loved exactly as they are. They just don't know how to receive that love without feeling suffocated. So when you glow up, thrive, or reclaim your peace after going no contact, they feel conflicted. Part of them might admire you, while another part resents the fact that you found peace without needing to fix things with them. And they fear that your new peace has no space for their chaos. Fear number 8, the fear of regret. They can't reverse. Avoidants often leave things unsaid. They exit when things get too intense. They ghost, delay, or deflect. But they always assume there's a way back. A door slightly open, a bridge still intact. No contact feels like that door slamming shut. And with it comes the fear that they might actually want to come back someday, only to find that it's too late. That regret, the one they rarely show, is one of their deepest fears. That they let go of someone real, that they ran from something meaningful. And now the silence is not just an absence of noise, it's the sound of finality. Fear number 9, the fear that you finally understand them. This might sound strange, but for avoidants, being truly seen is both a dream and a nightmare. They want to be understood, but only to the extent that it doesn't threaten their emotional walls. When you go no contact, they start to worry. Did they finally figure me out? Maybe you saw through the patterns, the distancing, the hot and cold, the emotional shutdowns. And now that you understand them, you no longer chase them, you let them go. And that's terrifying, because now they can't hide behind confusion or ambiguity. You see them, and you chose yourself. Fear number 10, the fear that they'll have to change. Here's the truth. Many avoidants are not ready to change. They'd rather preserve their emotional safety than step into vulnerability. But when someone walks away and stays away, it sends a message that love without growth isn't sustainable, and that scares them. Not just because they lost you, but because now they're confronted with a choice: evolve or repeat the same cycle with someone new. That realization lingers in their mind. You didn't just leave, you became a turning point, and they fear that if they don't change, they'll keep losing people who matter. So if you've gone no contact, understand this. Your silence is not empty. It's not weak. It's not cruel. It's a message. And that message echoes inside the mind of an avoidant more deeply than they'll ever admit. Yes, they may appear fine. They may post stories, travel, date, or act unbothered. But behind closed doors, these secret fears creep in. And the longer your silence lasts, the louder those fears become. You don't need to break no contact to make an impact. You already have. Your absence is doing what your words never could, forcing reflection, stirring regret, and maybe opening a door inside them they've spent a lifetime keeping locked.